peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Today, thousands and thousands of Africans and many countries in Africa have conflicts. Notably, from Libya, Cameroon, Nigeria, Biafra, and the Boko Haram, to Democratic Republic of Congo, of where we have seen a resurgence of the past military and conflicts coming back in that country. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been displaced, killed, maimed, tortured, raped, several of them dying of hunger, starvation, and other natural causes. The fighting seems not to be ending. For the sake of Libya, the Libyan recognized international government is under siege in Tripoli from another faction recognized by Egypt, France, UAE, and other countries. Whereas the one in Tripoli is recognized by the UN, it has been bombarded, has been strangulated, and many millions of Libyans are dying of hunger, lack of water. The water system has been cut off. The bombardment goes on. In Democratic Republic of Congo, we've seen more of active rebel activities returning to the region after some silence has been observed. When we come to Cameroon, we see millions and millions of Amazonians slaughtered. Yet, when you come to Biafra, again millions and hundreds of millions and millions are worried, displaced, tortured by the Buhari regime. Yet again in the north, we see Boko Haram killing, maiming, abducting, and burning down villages in the same Nigeria. When you cross over to Central African Republic, the same is the history that has littered Africa. While all these events are taking shape, Africa is silent. Africa is not making enough efforts to find a solution to what is causing the problems in Libya, in DRC, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, Biafra, and now you add in Khartoum, Sudan. As people die, the people of Africa have no answers, have no solutions. There is nothing to endear to bring an end to the conflicts that have killed Africa. We seem to be new ones manufactured, old ones reignited, encouragement coming from external powers. One power that has been seen in the shadows of all these conflicts, especially the one of Libya that has escalated in the Sahara region of Africa, is France. When you come to Democratic Republic of Congo, the same country is in the shadows. The war can be seen is France. When you come to Cameroon, in Amazonia, the one behind that has the key to bringing peace is France. Therefore, our question as Africans, why are we silent? Why are we not saying enough is enough of the wars? Thank you. Today in Africa, we see a lot of uprisings, planning for uprisings, plotting for uprisings in several African countries. The events on the African continent, therefore, as predicted much earlier myself, in 2017, I said before 2020, 13 African countries would have undergone either soft regime change, soft coups, or violent regime change through uprising, which now seem to be real. The signs that and symbols that we see are the real symbols and the signs that more is to come against African governments. What do we do then? There is a new method of changing governments strategically placed in the United States of America by George Soros. George Soros funds civil societies, civil disobedience, civil violence in Africa. It is upon you Africans and African heads of state, wherever you are, as you plan to convene next month or before the end of this month in Addis Ababa, to understand the magnitude of this regime change strategy. Many wars are taking place, internal strife conflicts like the one in Cameroon, Amazonia, like the one in Biafra, Boko Haram, and then in Biafra, like the one in Libya. But the theme is the same. Regime change, uprising. Is it a matter of taking over our resources? You see, the war in Congo has erupted again. Unknown militias have arrived in Congo, restarted the war, and it is going on. All these culminate to one thing. Are we ready to be independent? As I said last week, this week, are people in Africa ready to accept the results of elections? Elections everywhere in Africa are bringing the chaos we see. The people of Africa seem to be divided after elections or before elections. Is Africa ready for elections? Do we need elections in Africa? If so, are we tolerant enough to accept the results. Are we ready? Which method can we use in Africa to make sure that there is hope for the countries and there is hope and the future of Africa is guaranteed? Viewers, the High Court in Malawi today or yesterday was hearing a case when the president had already been sworn in. If the president of Malawi has been sworn in, then the High Court is hearing the case. Is that not a disaster, an accident in waiting? Whether this will make us have a peaceful Africa remains to be seen. And may God help us to build a better Africa. Thank you very much.
First of all, let me thank you. I've prepared 2 papers which I believe will be circulated because they'll not be projected. But if you can see, first of all, I want to agree with the Honorable Minister. I've done 2 pictorials. One of them is described as Africa at the dinner table. And if you look at Africa at the dinner table, Africa is on a plate and it is meat. And the diners at the dinner table are France, the United Kingdom, the United States, the European Union, the Chinese, and progressively the Arabs. And my second picture is the African hotspots. It's not visible from there. But if you look at Africa today and you make a clean sweep with your mind, there are different conflicts of different intensity in Somalia, in northern Mauritania, in northern Mali, in Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Guinea-Bissau, in the Cameroons, in South Sudan, and one can go on and on. And there is a sense in which Africa has always been alive to the question of interference. I will refer this audience, particularly those who are starting, to take time and read the 32 odd speeches that were made in the month of May 1963 by the then heads of states and government of independent African states, the 32 of them. And there are 2 speeches that I want to isolate for this presentation. One was by David Dacko of Central African Republic. And in thanking Emperor Haile Selassie and Kwame Nkrumah on that day, he said that we must never forget that the colonial power has not left us. We must recognize that he did not go willingly. And if we don't check them, they'll come back again. And what would little Central African Republic do against them? Today, he is right. Today, if we remember the activities of France and how they have propped up the regime of Jean Bedel Bokassa, he was right. Today, as the Honorable Minister has indicated, Africa remains the only continent in the world that is referred to in these terms, Anglophone, to mean that we are a sphere of our erstwhile colonizers. About 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting of the Commonwealth in London, England. And a friend of mine who is an Anglophile sent me the photograph very gleefully, saying this is a meeting of 53 equal states. I told him, no. If it was so, why is it that the leadership of the Commonwealth is hereditary rather than rotational? In other words, in the minds of the British, her former colonies are still under her tutelage. And I want to submit to us that in the minds of what I'll call the conceptual West, they think they have a divine duty to instruct Africans what to do.
True.
And in the minds of many African leaders, they think that they have a divine duty to accept what they are told. That, in my view, is what the Honorable Minister was talking about, the mindset. And this is something that has been examined. We have seen France and its very pernicious presence in Africa. We know what they did in Burkina Faso against Thomas Sankara. We know what they did in Mali or the Sudan against Modibo Keita or against Sekou Touré in Guinea. Pernicious to the core. The Portuguese, we know what battles had to be fought in that area. And let me put this very bluntly. When the former leader of Portugal, Marcelo Caetano, was asked, why can you not allow the colonies to gain independence? This is what he said in substance. As I have examined world history over the years, the following have emerged. That the Caucasians have been responsible for monumental discoveries in the development of man. So have the Chinese, so have the Arabs. But the Africans have been responsible for nothing. They are only fit as hewers of wood and drawers of water. And I want to
Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you very much for watching Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting all the way from the Republic of Kenya in Nairobi, the headquarters of Pan-Africanism in the African continent. Thank you very much, Secretary. Thank you very much, Gabriel Nasa. Thank you very much, Nkuruma. Thank you very much, Patrice Lumumba. Thank you very much, Samora Machel. Thank you very much, Julius Nyerere. Thank you very much, Jomo Kenyatta. Thank you very much, Haile Selassie, Emperor Haile Selassie. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Amir Cabral. Thank you very much, the people of Guinea-Bissau. Good afternoon. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for watching. This is Punchline Africa Television, the only Pan-African television that discusses Africa, that looks at what ails Africa, what kills Africa, what can we do to change things in Africa, what is it that is in for us. We are a continent endowed with a lot of minerals, a lot of resources, but we are the poorest again on the continent of in the entire world. What is the problem? What has ailed us? What has killed us? Corruption, disease, ignorance, conflicts created by other states in the world that developed much earlier after stealing our resources. Viewers, this afternoon, this is the editor's memo. In this memo, I've chosen one of the best subjects. As you are aware, I'm a student and I studied international relations to the highest degree of a PhD. And therefore, I talk the facts with facts, founded by facts, based on facts, relying on facts, and relying on systems that the world has. And I will be doing this today without fear of contradiction and without fear of any mistake that I am going to be mistaken. I'm stating facts as they are. The situation in the world today needs people to speak up. The situation in the world today needs the people in Africa to stand up and speak up. The conflicts that are being manufactured elsewhere could become proxy wars Are we fighting proxy wars on the continent of Africa? The editor's memo wants to answer you those questions this afternoon. The topic that was given to us by the editorial and the editor and chosen by myself on behalf of Punchline Africa Television is this topic. How does the Iran-United States conflict affect Africa? Wherever you are in Africa, how does it affect you? How will it affect you? When will it affect you? How will it arrive? I am going to divide my topic into 3 and later on be joined by none other than our own correspondent, our own anchor, who will interrogate me further on how these conflicts in the Middle East can affect Africa and can affect us in Kenya, in Uganda, in Somalia, in Central African Republic, in DRC Congo, where ISIS, part of the ISIS that was in Syria, has arrived in that republic, and there is something going on in that republic. Thank you very much, viewers. That is it. But before I go deeper to this topic, I want to make it very clear. I want to sound a very sincere and a clear position. I want to give you the background that has led to where we are today. The editor's memo summarizes all the things that people look for in any essay. The editor's memo gives you the will to understand what is happening in the world. Every day in the afternoon, starting from today, I will be coming up with summary of the editor's memo. That's a new program I've introduced. I will speak up a topic in Africa, in Kenya, in Uganda, in any country. I will pick any country, your country. I will come up with a summary to educate the people of the world how the international community, how the colonial masters, how the neo-colonialists, how the French have mutilated Africa, how they have destroyed this continent, or how can we help ourselves as a continent. Viewers, lots of conflicts in Africa have taken the sides from the West. The Israel-Palestinian conflict has divided Africa before, and it is bound to divide Africa further. Remember, we had an organization called the Non-Aligned Movement, and I want to thank the founding fathers, Field Marshal Tito of Yugoslavia, Fidel Castro of Cuba, Nehru of India, Gandhi of India, Obote of Uganda, Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, Gabine Nasser of Egypt, Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, Sekou Touré of Conakry, Guinea, Benebera, my great friend of Algeria, Nyerere, Kaunda, those leaders, Patrice Lumumba, who joined the African Unaligned Movement, and the people of Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, those countries that took a non-aligned organization that helped Africa to stabilize the world. I wish that organization was revived today. I want to thank the Muammar Gaddafis, the ones who stood by the truth. Most of you have seen what is happening in Libya. It starts slowly, then affects the entire region. It starts as it is, It is today the United States of America versus Iran. Tomorrow it could be the United States versus other countries. How does this war affect Africa? But before I do that, let me bring you the background. The background to this war goes back many years. In 1953, there was an overthrow of Mossadegh. The United States of America, together with some Western powers, orchestrated a coup that ousted a democratically elected Prime Minister, Mohamed Mossadegh. 1979, Ayatollah Khomeini took a stand from Paris in France, where he has taken refuge. Islamic religious leader of Ayatollah Khomeini returns from exile following a referendum of the Islamic Republic of Iran proclaimed on 1st April 1979. 1978 to 1980. 1. United States of America Embassy hostage crisis. The USA Embassy in Tehran was occupied, taken by maybe the slain commander was part of the brigade that took over the embassy. That was in November 1979. American hostages were held inside for 444 days. In 1985 to 1986, Iran-Contra scandal. Arms were sold. The United States secretly sold shipped arms to Iran, allegedly in exchange for Tehran's help in freeing United States hostages, which was called the Iran Contra scandal. 1988, the axis of evil proclamation by President Bush. Bush denounces Iran, Iraq, North Korea as the axis of evil in the world, which was an outrageous. Bush denounces our countries instead of containment. Remember, before President Bush took over power, President Ronald Reagan had already contained these all atmospheres that we see now around the world. In 2000, nuclear fears and sanctions against the United States against Iran. In 2013 to 2016, President Obama tried to bring together by hammering a nuclear weapon disarmament and regulations under the auspices of European Union, international bodies of the United Nations, which made the relationship between Iran and the other states in the world welcome decision by Obama. President Obama tried as much as possible to contain. My emphasis here in international relations is to tell the students watching my program today is the policy of containment has solved many problems. Remember, the policy of containment solved and removed apartheid. There were people who never wanted sanctions to be put on apartheid. There are people who wanted sanctions. But the British government contained the situation and got independence with a fight, and the rebels that were fighting, for example, in Zimbabwe, which was well occupied by Ian Smith. This is not new. The policy of containment, therefore, could save us the war that we might see in the future. The policy of containment, therefore, could help the world to stabilize, could help Africa to enjoy, to lessen its budget on security arrangements. People are asking that the war is between Iran and the United States. But Africa always becomes the soft target. We become the soft targets. When the war between France and Gaddafi, and when they invaded Libya, we warned the people that don't invade Libya, you are going to create chaos. People did not listen. Today, Boko Haram is killing everybody in the Sahara region, in Burkina Faso, in Côte d'Ivoire, in Nigeria, in the Maiduguri area. The people are being slaughtered by Boko Haram, a terrorist ISIS caliphate that is sitting in Bamako. The killings go on unabated. The world is watching. The power that invaded Libya sanctioned the invasion of Libya under Resolution 1970 of the United Nations Security Council is none other than France. The resolution was passed with the help of President Zuma, and Africa should not forget that we mourn as we sit here, as we talk here. We mourn our sons. We mourn the people of Libya who suffer under the sanctions and the hardships of ISIS. We mourn the infrastructure that is gone. We mourn the education system that is gone. We mourn the social structures in Libya that is gone. We mourn the hospitals, the schools that have been destroyed by war. I am not a war apologist. I hate war. I want peace. We want peace. Africa needs peace. Many people in the world might say this is happening to Iran. It will not happen to us. No, we shall be affected. The oil prices will go up. We depend on oil for production, for consumption. The prices of oil are determined by how high it is in production. If there is a war in the Middle East, the prices shoot up. Iran is one of the biggest suppliers and the biggest supplier of crude oil worldwide. One of the reasons that this war is raging is Iran has the oil. Do you notice that everywhere in Africa where oil is, there is a crisis? Every country that is developing and bringing out oil, there is a crisis. There is an opposition leader taking over, trying to be closer to the powers that need this oil. Is Africa safe or not safe? Finally, in 2019, tension in the Gulf, in the streets of Hormuz. In May 2018, United States President Donald Trump abandons the nuclear deal before reinstating sanctions against Iran and the countries that trade with Iran. Then in May and June 2019, explosions hit oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman. And the United States of America accuses Iran for the explosions that hit the oil tankers that were carrying oil across the region. Viewers, wherever you are, it is very important that you mark 1 point or 3 points. Point number 1, wherever you are in Africa, you will be affected if the war erupts in the Middle East, either diplomatically, politically, socially, or economically. First, it will not be safe for us to travel. Planes could be diverted, which can affect your social status of traveling. You want to visit people in Europe. 2, diplomatically, we must take take sides. The African Union or African member states, individual member states, will take sides. And therefore your country will be affected diplomatically by either siding with the United States of America, which is the superpower, which has got a very bad behavior of president, a president with the worst behavior that I have ever seen in my life history. At least I witnessed the Watergate scandal. I was born when I used to see in a black and white TV the sentiments that, the questions that were being put on President Nixon. I used to see, I used to watch. But America today has a very dangerous president. A man, a businessman who does not care about the lives of the people. He cares about the lives of his Americans. But he has not cared about how Africa will be protected. How shall we protect ourselves from the war that is being ignited in the Middle East? How can we be helped as Africans? ISIS is killing us Africans in Egypt, in Libya. ISIS is dismembering our people in Bamako, in Mauritania, in Mali, in Upper Volta, in Burkina Faso, in Nigeria. Buhari has joined these guys to maim us. Buhari cannot stop the Boko Haram from killing the people of Nigeria. Above all, Buhari himself has neglected his own people because he has to face the so-called insurgents of Boko Haram that was initiated after killing of Muammar Gaddafi. Our people suffer and die in the Mediterranean Sea, crossing over to the upper Europe or the lower Europe, the metros of Europe, because Libya has been damaged. When Gaddafi was in Libya, there was no crossing. No African was dying on the Indian Mediterranean Sea. At least some of them were saved. The numbers of people who have increased, who have died in the Mediterranean Sea since Gaddafi and Libya went to dogs, is much, much higher than the numbers that were there when they used to cross, when Libya was in a state of governance. Viewers, the current state of confrontation, therefore, any student of international relations will know, stems from this type of rivalry that has been there between the US since 1953. The Shah of Iran died in the United States in exile. She never returned home, was removed by Ayatollah Grand Mullah Khomeini, the late. Several Ayatollahs have moved. Iran has modernized its industry. Iran has given people the will to speak. But Iran also has gone to the extent of making other things apart from developing social contract for its people. Iran equally is ambitious. Iran sponsors other facilities that also destabilize the entire continent of Africa and the entire Middle East and the world. It is true that when you studied the Hezbollah, in Lebanon, the Syrian war, where is Iran? Where does Iran stand? It stands on the side of Assad. The United States of America for the first time agreed to engage itself together with Russia. And that the component of the Russian situation in Assad to save the collapse of Syria completely is what a people, students of international relations, must look at. What is it? Who armed the ISIS? There are people who armed the ISIS. And we should be frank with each other. First, Obama said they will arm ISIS in order to protect the people, to overthrow Assad. The ISIS guys ran away with the arms, turned against the same allied forces. the same American and the Western interest in Syria, killing millions of people, making refugees go out of Libya, of Syria, into the metros of Europe. Europe today faces a problem, a challenge. Europe today faces a challenge of how do they handle the situation that we see, where many of Syrians have come closer to their borders. But they have not looked at the root cause. The root cause of the Syrian issue was France. The late Kofi Annan, the man who always breaks, who always goes, wherever he goes, God gave him a bad luck that he leaves blood flowing, was the first envoy appointed by United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon with the help of the French to go and convince Assad to leave power. Who sparked the conflict? France. Called in the United States and kept quiet. Bombardments continued. The United States has pulled out of Syria, leaving the problem of the ISIS, the Kurds, leaving the Turkish Empire, the Ottoman Empire, reviving its rivalry against the Kurds in Syria. You see many of the Syrians, the Kurds, being butchered, killed, bombarded, slaughtered today. Nobody is making any noise. That killing goes on. But the United States of America, through their president, pulled back and refused to support the final flush out of the Kurds, of the ISIS. The Kurds helped to flush out ISIS, but the Kurds have been left. The Abdallah al-Chalan people have been left to be slaughtered on their own. Look at that. Look at what we have in Africa. This conflict comes back to Africa. This conflict allows us the protection and the peace process, the dialogue. I told you there will be 3 to 4 fronts that will come. One of the fronts will be diplomatic. If United States of America starts the war with Iran, they will ask for diplomatic support. They will use us as pawns. They will use Africa as pawns. That any African country that supports Iran will be blacklisted. This is how it affects us diplomatically. That you cannot go to UN when you have been blacklisted by the superpower, which is America. The language, the Twitter language that Mr. Trump is using is not a statesman language. It leads us to war. The escalation of this conflict can bring quite a lot of bad consequences for this continent of Africa. The oil prices economically, the slump, the hike in oil prices, because there will be scarcity, will affect us, will affect our oil on the pumps, will affect our cars, will affect how we eat, how we drive, how we manufacture. The conflict, therefore, in Iran is not for Iranians only. It is going to be the conflict for Africans. The second front, which is very negative, is Iranians could choose to target us, soft targets, looking for the Americans. That's the danger we have. That's the editor's memo. The danger we have is the editor's memo telling you we have a problem. Because the soft targets on African continent, Iranians might not go for hard targets who are the Americans. But Iranians will use their rented affiliates, caliphates that we have on the continent of Africa, like Boko Haram, like Al-Shabaab, like those in South Sudan, like those terrorists in Libya, to strike at us. That is where we have a problem. And we should be very careful that as we enter 2020, we have a front which is a entire border which is hollow, where terrorists can infiltrate to finish us in Africa because they have been angered. The type of anger that you see in Tehran, the cries that you see in Tehran would end us in chaos in Africa. How prepared are security agencies in Africa to tackle this problem? Those are the questions I'm going to sit down with our correspondent, anchor, and researcher to discuss, and I will answer some of them. The point that I'm making here is that we have to be prepared as Africans. Where did the non-aligned movement go? What does Kenya say? Where does Kenya stand? Where will Kenya stand? Where will Uganda stand? Already us in Uganda, we are singled out as having over 1,000 troops, ex-army combatants, soldiers. They are in Iraq. Our soldiers, our sons, our brothers are in Iraq looking for green pastures of economic nature. Where will they go? Would Iran turn on them? We have a lot of difficulties. We have to analyze this. We have to synchronize the difficulties. What is it going to happen? What about the sympathizers of those who see the hands of a mutilated man with a ring left over? What do they see? How many of us will fall victims when we travel with revenge attacks of soft targets? How many of us? Disruption of travel, air travel, increased security now in airports. That is what we are talking about. Will you be affected? Will you be increased? It increases a burden to the economies of Africa. It increases burden to economies where you have to safeguard American interests, American targets that the Iranians would look for. So we call upon President Trump and we call upon the Iranians to contain, to allow logic. Yes, this has happened. Yes, but how far can we now go to stop an escalation? Those are the questions that we need to seek. We don't want to take sides. We don't want to make it very difficult for people to understand. This is going to affect us. You like it, whether you are in Zimbabwe, you will be affected. If the war erupts, you will be told your aircraft should not go around the Gulf of Oman, the Gulf of the Persian Gulf, the Straits of Hormuz. On trade, it will affect. Are we endangering the route? The Mediterranean route seems to be slowly coming into piracy. If you look at what might happen in the Red Sea, already Iranians are in Yemen. The Houthi rebels in Yemen are supported by Iran. They control the entry, the departure from the Red Sea to connect the Indian Ocean. It could be very dangerous for the ships that play from up, go come down to the east. Trade could be disrupted. So we should look at the increase of prices of oil pumps, oil at the pump, diesel for farming. Farmers will be affected if the price increases. Fuel for cars, motorists will be affected. These are some of the consequences of the war, and if the war takes place at all. So thank you very much, viewers. I have brought out issues. The history ended and started at the situation that you see, that 2013 to 2016, there was already closer ties with nuclear weapon production monitored by the UN and the 5 members of who were discussing the nuclear discussion. Today, as we seek to see solutions, we seek to know what it means for us to be Africans. Today, do we have an African voice? Today, how many African countries rely on the West for survival? Congo produces the biggest, it has the minerals, but Congo does not have the money to hold an election. It has to borrow money to hold an election. Isn't it sad, therefore, that we become victims? We, the soft targets, we must also be vigilant. We must stand up. We must give security intelligence networks any information available. In Uganda, in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Africa, the entire Africa. The editor's memo says, give that information, because we have a good example on the African continent where we have lost. We have lost Libya. General Khalifa Haftar is supported by who? The same countries that dismembered Libya support General Khalifa Haftar. General Khalifa Haftar is an American citizen used. Back in the east, we have Somalia. A satellite state has been set up in Somalia, headed by President Faramijo, a Republican by heart, a Somali by color. A Republican hardcore president lies in Mogadishu. He doesn't want to discuss anything about anything in Africa. He would rather take instructions from Washington. We have a prime minister, a man by nature, a Norwegian, but by color, a Somali sitting in Mogadishu. He doesn't discuss anything with Africans. You find them all with their proxies across the river, across Red Sea, discussing how they will make deals to dismember Africa. Can Africa stand this tide? The answer is yes. A united Africa with its own resources, as suggested by President Kagame in his reforms of the African Union, can stand the proxy war that we see in the region. Thank you very much. Don't go away. We come back. I will be joined by none other than our researcher and anchor, Miriam Ogutu, to see whether there are some reasons that she wants. That is the lesson. The war, the dates, mark them. The general that was assassinated has been buried or will be buried in the city of Guam. Trump has threatened to take action if Iran has equally threatened to take action. Today we saw the revenge, the pouring of tears by Ayatollah himself, the Grand Mullah himself, crying tears. We know the tears of pain could turn into tears of violence. We know this could affect us on the African continent. So wherever you are in Africa, keep watching, keep listening. This is Punchline Editor's Memo. Every 3 p.m. every day this year, we shall pick a word where our memo will mean a lot for Africa or for a country. If it is Kenyan politics, we shall do the memo. Thank you very much. I will be joined shortly. Don't go away. Don't go away. we shall be with you shortly. And thank you very much, Jamil Abdulhassan Hashi, because I've been very harsh on Somalia and I talk the truth. We said the truth. There is nothing that we shall hide. Mr. Farimajo is a Republican by nature, by heart, but a Somali by color. And that's the truth. You are not going to take me away, because I know in Minnesota, where he came from, he was a hardcore member of the Republican Party. And that's why he cannot listen to other Africans when we say, don't go to the Hague, let's discuss this matter. Let's even sit down and see how best we can share the natural resources that Africa is endowed with. He doesn't want. Thank you. So stay tuned. We shall be back. Thanks. Today in Africa, we see a lot of uprisings, planning for uprisings, plotting for uprisings in several African countries. The events on the African continent, therefore, as predicted much earlier myself, in 2017, I said, before 2020, 13 African countries would have undergone either soft regime change, soft coups, or violent regime change through uprising, which now seem to be real. The signs that and the symbols that we see are the real symbols and the signs that more is to come against African governments. What do we do then? There is a new method of changing governments strategically placed in the United States of America by George Soros. George Soros funds civil societies, civil disobedience, civil violence in Africa. It is upon you, Africans and African heads of state, wherever you are, as you plan to convene next month or before the end of this month in Addis Ababa, to understand the magnitude of this regime change strategy. Many wars are taking place, internal strife conflicts like the one in Cameroon, Amazonia, like the one in Biafra, Boko Haram, and then in Biafra, like the one in Libya. But the theme is the same. Regime change, uprising. Is it a matter of taking over our resources? You see, the war in Congo has erupted again. Unknown militias have arrived in Congo, restarted the war, and it is going on. All these culminate to one thing. Are we ready to be independent? As I said last week, this week, are people in Africa ready to accept the results of elections? Elections everywhere in Africa are bringing the chaos we see. The people of Africa seem to be divided after elections or before elections. Is Africa ready for elections? Do we need elections in Africa? If so, are we tolerant enough to accept results? Are we ready? Which method can we use in Africa to make sure that there is hope for the countries and there is hope and the future of Africa is guaranteed. Viewers, the High Court in Malawi today or yesterday was hearing a case when the president had already been sworn in. If the president of Malawi has been sworn in, then the High Court is hearing the case. Is that not a disaster, an accident in waiting? Whether this will make us have a peaceful Africa remains to be seen. And may God help us to build a better Africa. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, viewers. Welcome back to our show, The Editor's Memo. We have been discussing the United States of America and the Iran relationship. How does it affect us? What can happen if there is a conflict? How will Africa look at the conflict? Diplomatically, politically, socially, morally, and above all, trade is very key. Above all, America needs oil. Oil comes from the same region. The prices of oil, you need oil in order to run your factory, your car in Africa. How will it affect you? How much can it damage our economies? What about the security aspect of it? How are we preparing for extra security? I see every town in Kampala, it has been beefed up. Security is beefed up. I'm told in Nairobi, CBD, there it is also beefed up because you can see what happened in the weekend. American AFRICOM has told us, AFCOM has told us that there is the terrorists wanted to come to kill people. Soft targets. We have become soft targets as a result of the war in Iran, in the Middle East. The killing of General Suleiman is what has caused all the tension that you see. Are they going to revenge on soft targets? With me in the studio right now to discuss in the editor's memo called TEM. The editor's memo is a new program. It's a show. And I want to thank people. It started on a higher note. It gave us 220 per second, which means, translates to huge numbers of viewers. We want to thank you for that. But now I have brought in a spice. Somebody, I have always looked at the spicing angles of how she spices the shows. Thank you very much. Welcome, Miriam Ogutu, our researcher, our anchor of Punchline Africa Television.
I didn't know.
Thank you.
I didn't know I was the masala here.
You are masala. In fact, you masala, and you know when you come in, numbers again go up. I have raised the status.
You had very good numbers before I came in. So
thank you.
I'm just hoping to catch up with your numbers now. But thank you so much, and Doctor, this is a very important subject that we're looking at right now. We know that act by the United States on Friday has sent the world and parts of Middle East and the peace that has been very elusive in the Middle East. And this has also gone to jeopardize the peace process that has been happening there. Now Iran has threatened that it will completely withdraw from the nuclear deal that they had between the US. Of course, the US withdrew a couple of months ago, and now Europe was just trying to still hold Iran into that and over the deal they had so that Iran can stop manufacturing the nuclear it had plans. But now it says, you know what, it it is going to rubbish everything, and it's going to continue with the manufacturing of nuclear, which this is a threat that we cannot even begin to fathom. And also you can see how President Donald Trump is even handling this matter, which really should worry the rest of the world. When you see a country like Iraq, which has been very important in terms of having the base of the U.S. Army over there and helping with intelligence in all the Middle East, and now Iraq is saying that they will take out all the foreign armies out there. Obviously, the United States Army, they're saying it should be, they'll have the army removed from the country. So I don't know what that will mean in terms of even gathering the intelligence and the coordination that the U.S. has been having with Iraq and these other countries in turn fighting militia and extremism. This will be compromised, and I don't think President Donald Trump has completely seen the big picture, because President Obama and also the former presidents before then had the opportunity to take down this guy, but in their wisdom and the intelligence that they had and the advice that they got from American intelligence, he was told, no, you cannot do it because of the ramifications that might come to that. So in case you're wondering who we are talking about, I'm sure if you've been out there in the world, not somewhere in a cage, then you know Qasem Soleimani, a top general and one of the most powerful men in Iran, was killed by the U.S. airstrike in Baghdad on Friday, and a funeral held in Iran today, with Soleimani's body being carried through Iran, which, doctor, when I was looking at these images on Al Jazeera, all those international news outlets, you can see this is something that the Iran's government is using it to milk every opportunity they're having. And because, over the couple of few months ago, even in the politicians, the different sides in Iran, the Shia Muslims and the other side and the Kurds, they're not agreeing. But now this has brought them together. So Iran government, as from what I was seeing, they're using this opportunity at the death of Soleimani to make sure that they're able to carry out propaganda to the fullest. And by them parading the body of Soleimani around Tehran, which I think, well, he was a revered figure there in Iran, I think is meant to sort of, play with the emotions and the psychology of the people there. And so there's not telling, you can see people crying. And he was very loved there in Iran. So there's not telling really what will happen after this. We saw the body being carried through Iran with the tens of thousands of mourners flooding the streets to honor him. And of course, the Iran state media, that is the only thing that is running there. And of course, the international media houses. So indeed, this has really thrown the world into a disarray. And true, Kenya, we've suffered before as a soft port. Remember the 1998 bombing, because Iran does not have the capabilities to go and attack the US, that they cannot do that.
Yes.
But what I had one of their people, one of the top army there person also saying is that they are going to make sure they have a revenge. But after they have revenged, they do not want the US to revenge back again, because they'll be revenging on this, and then they have to settle that matter, and the US should not be revenging back. So I don't know how this is going to work, especially with Donald Trump there as the
First of all, the answers, Miriam, the way Donald Trump has answered them, he has told the Iraqi cabinet that you pay for the airfield first. You see, we are doing business. You went to Iraq, you destroyed Iraq without any evidence. Tony Blair lied to the world that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. The Labour government, since then, we lost power in the United Kingdom. We lost power because of Tony Blair's lies. We have never regained power as Labour Party at all. I'm a member of the Labour Party from 1987 in this world. I've been a member of the Labour Party. We've lost power because of lies that were perpetuated by Tony Blair on Iraq. They went destroyed Iraq. Now they turn around, Mr. Trump says, if we want American troops to leave Iraq, pay us. Pay you for what? You went to finish, to destroy Iraq. You should actually give Iraq that airport and withdraw, allow them to be what it is, monitor them, and make sure they don't produce nuclear weapons at all. That is the problem we have. And the double standards of a president who calls African shithole, And now he's calling everybody shithole. It's not very good. So time has come also United States of America to behave. They are a superpower. They lead by example. A good example could be our children are watching. Every child is watching this television. You won't stop the child to say, what is that dark crowd on the TV, mom? And the mother has to explain, oh, you know, this is a burial. He said it's a huge crowd, big, dark. These are people mourning their person. Yes, we don't praise and we don't lament over Suleiman because he has been a head of an external wing that has plotted and executed people. But is that the timing of killing him when he's still a service officer of another country? It raises a lot of questions for America.
The timing.
To answer.
And during this impeachment process, you know, they're supposed to embark on it, the Senate, this month. So other analysts have seen it as a way of President Donald Trump trying to divert attention from the impeachment process that he's facing there at the United States. The same thing that former president there, Bill Clinton, also
Clinton decided to do a strike. And Mr. Mbakwa is saying, I should shut up. I'm a journalist. I'm supposed to analyze.
And Soleimani was a criminal.
Yes,
Make no mistake.
I'm supposed to analyze. We have not refused he was not a criminal. He was. But was he? How many criminals do we have in America who have slaughtered people in Afghanistan? How many? Who created Osama bin Laden? America.
Khalifa Haftar.
Who created General Khalifa Haftar, who is slaughtering people in Libya? America.
Who is supporting him?
Who is supporting General Khalifa? We don't want wars. You have seen how Boko Haram, ISIS, is killing people in Mali. You want us to give you how many examples? You have seen French soldiers carrying diamonds and the gold in boxes, claiming to be returning their armory. And they have been intercepted by Central African custom officers. It's not a lie. So we don't want to divert any attention to anyone. We are talking the truth. The truth is very clear that the world needs dialogue. The world needs containment. I don't know whether you know anything, Mr. Nabakwa, about containment. A policy of containing, because you might be empty. Let me teach you. The Contra-Iran issue. President Ronald Reagan contained it. It did not explode beyond. There was no war. He gave them arms in exchange of the hostages. Contra, I don't know how old you were, because you might have been a small baby. So let's look at facts. Don't spoil our program. We're analyzing for Africa. What is it? The oil of the fuel that you take from a petrol station, the price will jump once there is a war.
Immediately after the death of Soleimani, we could see even the stocks there, the way they were trading, the Dow Jones and all of that at the New York Stock Exchange. It all changed, and the world was shook because Iran and that area in the Middle East, that is where the rest of the world.
All the ships going to the east pass through the Straits of Hormuz. And let me teach here, because some people in Africa are useless because of this internet. Hormuz is the only strait where you can trade with the Persian countries, shorter route to China. And you carry oil through the Straits of Hormuz. Iran, the Hormuz Strait is a distance of 200 to 1,000 kilometers apart. Iran has its border there.
It has.
And a ship, it has allowed everybody to cross. It could go back and say, we are not allowing any ship to cross. You will not kill the entire world.
At that time, it was holding the ship for the UK.
Yes.
I don't know what they were having that scuffle, and it has been happening for a few months now, leading to this. And apparently, what brought this matter to even President Donald Trump to have him killed is after one American was killed somewhere in Iraq there, and so from their sources, their intelligence sources, they're saying Mr. Qasem Soleimani is the one who ordered for the killings. But anyway, yeah, we know he's not.
John Paul is saying I shouldn't blame Blair. John Paul, you and me are great friends. And I will not hesitate to blame him. Because we didn't find the weapons of mass destruction.
16 years later.
We have not found them.
Even George
but
Bush.
We have dismembered Iraq. Everybody talks.
Even George Bush regrets.
Yes. Everybody regrets. Obama regrets for having ordered for Libya to be bombarded.
Why are they regretting?
Why do we regret? Why don't we
countries?
Take, if George Bush wants, or if Trump wants, take the Ayatollah. Don't take the whole country.
Take Ayatollah?
Yes.
Do you want all of us to die?
No, no.
The Supreme.
There is a problem here. These guys are looking for oil. This oil was hidden under the ground by God. It is not us.
And America wants to take everything by force.
Yes, it is not me, it is not Iran, it is not her. The oil was hidden by God. Because if God wanted us to have oil everywhere, he would show us to flow like a river. Now we have done everything. We have gone to the moon, we have gone to Mars, we have gone to Jupiter, we have disturbed the climate. You see, when the rain comes, it comes heavy. Because we disturbed a lot of things up here which were godly. Now we are disturbing the ground. What is causing problems in the region? Let's come back to Somalia. Who owns the oil fields in the Indian Ocean? The United States of America company. It is the main company behind this dispute between Kenya and Somalia. We sit with them. They went to the ICJ. They pressurized Faramajo to take Kenya to the ICJ. I discovered this. Oh my God, on 30th of December, you were not here. Someone delivered me a document to say, hello, you are here. You are the one handling this. This is a white man from nowhere. He came for holiday. He came with a document to say, have you seen this document? Are you Dr. So-and-so Matanga? Yes. Are you the one handling the ICJ case? Look at this. We are fighting amongst ourselves as Africans. But in the actual sense, the oil is made of the company in Texas. So I told you here on this program that we might, at the end of the day, look at Texas to resolve the Indian Ocean. Have we not come to the truth? Someone was listening to me worldwide, and this person said, I will fly to Nairobi, look for this man, and give him these documents. I am now very shocked.
But when you look at the history of America and how, when it comes to oil, America is very, very aggressive, and it will get it by all means necessary. They tried, regime change in Venezuela. Remember even the recent one in Ecuador, and now I saw him the other day, he's been blocked from entering parliament, and now it's a problem. And I don't know, he was elected in the same election.
Molasses.
He was disputing
Ecuador.
in Venezuela. Sorry, in Venezuela, is it?
Even the Ecuador man,
yes.
Molasses, was thrown out. And the lady who was there was also thrown out. The lady had very bad things. You saw them, which was a tape. This is all mafia.
But even the remark that President Donald Trump made, I think, was it about Iraq or Iran? Sometimes back he said, but when you leave, please make sure you come with the oil. He was making a joke, but not really a joke, because at the end of the day, America will always, the president and the people of America will always look out for America's interest, period. The rest of the world, they don't care. So if if as much as, this man, of course, he's as head of its military abroad, known as the Quds Force, Soleimani was the mastermind behind the country's activities across the Middle East and its real foreign minister when it came to matters of war and peace. And next to Iran's supreme leader, Qasem Soleimani was arguably the most powerful figure in the Islamic Republic of there in Iran. So a lot of this,
I saw a lot of tears coming out of Ayatollah, the Grand Mullah.
While praying.
Yes, he did cry. I'm afraid of Eastern churches in the Middle East about to celebrate Christmas tomorrow. I fear attacks on the innocent worshippers across the Middle East. God have mercy, Paulo Kagi from Dar es Salaam, from Tanzania.
And that is a very legitimate concern.
It is legit. It's a very good concern.
It's
Mr. Jamal Abdel Hassan Hashi says, leave America alone. She is the world mass producer of energy. Today, we don't need their oil. Is it? You are in America, enjoy, Mr. Mbakwa, but you are not American. At least either you went there as a slave or you went there as on an economic searcher. Yes. Economic immigrant living here.
He did not say he's not. He's in America.
Yes, we don't need their oil. Yeah, he's in America. Thank you very much, Mbakwa. But at least for us, I've told you the truth. Stay wherever you want, Jay. You can as well become, those days we were forced to be carried out of the forest of the Benin and Oyo Empire. But now we take ourselves like slaves for free. Thank you. You better listen and laugh loud, because we are discussing a very serious matter here. Thank you.
And a comment here by John Paul that maybe I should read. He's saying, John Paul, thank you so much for writing to us. And you're saying, Doctor, if America should withdraw from Iraq, Iran is seeking to control the entire region. Iran has already influenced a lot of countries in the Middle East and trying to bring down Saudi Arabia, but America is standing on their way. That is true. Remember when the Houthi, was it that tried to bomb was it from Yemen? But I know Iran was behind it. The refinery at the Saudi Arabia, it's biggest refinery there in Saudi Arabia a couple of months ago. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. And you can see the division. There is a very sharp division in the Middle East right now. Iraq, Qatar, Iran, and another country. Iran supports Qatar. UAE, United Arab Emirates, which is Dubai, isn't it? Supports Saudi Arabia. Yemen is controlled, the Houthi rebels are controlled by Iran. Now, if you look at what has served as a beat in East Africa, we face the monsters called Al-Shabaab. The good thing with the Al-Shabaab are Sunni. They are Sunni Muslims. This analysis. You better, there are people jumping around here. The Al-Shabaab are Sunni. But there are a few elements of the Shia Muslims who have camped and again in Somalia. The radical teams that are looking for Iran help, who are not, they are wrestling power from the Sunni Al-Shabaab. Have you asked yourself where these uniforms come from? New.
Legitimate military artillery, the uniform, even the weapon.
Yeah.
Sophisticated.
Which no army in Africa has. It seems they come from the factory smelling new.
No, they smell new. They're new. Straight from the manufacturers.
So we give to new people Paul Okagi is in Australia. Thank you very much. I hope you have escaped the fire.
Mm-hmm. It's very sad, the fire from Australia. It is sad.
So thank you very much, viewers. Thank you very much, my people. We just want to thank all of you. And definitely do one or two things. Tomorrow, our memo might be on the return of Mr. Miguna. Mm-hmm. It is now official that Miguna, and I have received a letter just now from the immigration director, Mr. Muteshi, who says Miguna, the orders by the court will be
honored.
Yes.
Has he been given back his passport?
They have been surrendered to Kenya Human Rights and the lawyer Hamima. Mm-hmm. They can be presented to at the immigration for him to return.
That's good.
And the face, not face, because I think what President Uhuru Kenyatta has done is the best. Mm-hmm. We are aware that a section of the Uhuru Kenyatta Jubilee, part of the Jubilee Party, some other members who are opposed to President Uhuru Kenyatta are using him. Mm-hmm. But let him come here and we battle it out. Mm-hmm. Hallelujah. Small work for us. You realize it is only me Miguna does not talk about. Never, never, never. Let him come, we battle it out. Mm-hmm. He has never written about me, and thank you very much, That respect, let it be there.
There's no telling when he's here.
No, he's coming. Yes. No, he's somewhere watching all the events, because I've seen him answering every day. Everything that is coming from Kenya is answering on Twitter. Mm-hmm. He has never, I told him one day, that's it, that's the end of it. Never speak to me about, don't write anything rubbish about me. And I'm happy, because I saw when he got his book, he needed friends. I was a friend when his book was rejected.
Sure, and he wrote several.
Yes, the first one.
Peeling off the mask.
When he was being beaten, I became a friend. And I have left. But I want to thank the president for giving, that's a gesture of redemption. Mm-hmm. Let him come. The people that he has insulted are here. Kenyan laws work.
I don't think anybody wants to go after Miguna. Like
no, I'm saying there is nobody going. I am saying yes. After he has come. Mm-hmm. In fact, there he was talking freely.
You think he'll talk like that
he
here?
Can. There is a law here. You are not going to stand up. No television will give you
to slander people.
To slander people.
And to character assassinate.
Yes. If you slander people and they take you, they will get the ruling of the court. Yeah. You end up in jail.
So he'll be much careful.
Yes. So it's okay. Mm-hmm. But the devils that plan the downfall of Kenyatta have planned to use him. There is one incident that annoyed me over the weekend. Now that I'm dressed official, and that's it.
So what incident annoyed you?
In Kipukeren.
That has, okay.
An incident in Kipukeren, in Eldoret, Kipukeren, where youths were armed with arrows, pangas, terrorizing people. Huge number of youths.
Really?
So the security agencies must be very careful with that type of development. And the police went in to arrest these people. People pointed them out, but the people took the law in their hands, smashing these youth, stones, heads, fighting the police, even to a certain extent the police almost rain.
That's dangerous.
So there is something that we should watch out, especially in those areas bordering Uganda and Kenya, those areas where there used to be insurgents. There could be people mushrooming in the format of youth, you know? Because when you look at the Twitter war terrorists, these guys, what are they called? Keyboard
warriors.
Yeah, that is what is happening. They don't translate into votes. They can put you in fire. And you go, you say you have arrived. When you look behind, there is nobody. I believe me or not, there will be nobody at the airport to welcome, apart from the lawyer and his family and his relatives. None of these Twitter guys will go there.
Of course not. People are busy.
But it's a good gesture by His Excellency, the President of Republic of Kenya. Thank you very much, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, for the tenacity and the steadfastness that you have conducted this affair of Miguna to return.
Yes, indeed. Let him come
and
be productive. Let him find something to do and just be busy.
Yeah, he's a lawyer.
In
fact, if he opens his law firm,
you will go to be represented by Miguna.
You can be represented.
But he's very smart.
He's a smart guy in English.
Smart.
He has very good English, but he spoils. He's good, quick reasoning.
Yes, he is.
He can answer. I saw him on the debate.
Miguna is very smart.
On the debate of the Nairobi governors. He did very well.
Yeah.
His own people did not like him.
No, he's a bit abrasive.
He didn't have money.
His manner of delivery,
yes,
I think is what just puts people. No, but he has great ideas.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
But you don't run up to that level. He's some years behind me. We're elders. Some of us who have never been again we have no big problem. We shall talk to him.
Yeah.
We shall have tea in our usual point in Java in where we used to meet, MM. We used to see you before you became radical. So we shall
see. Is there a point in his life he was never radical? Because the person who I've known in public life is, he speaks his mind. And I think that is his greatest asset, but also it could be his greatest downfall. Sometimes you need to just read the mood and just, but that's why Miguna is very unique, because that's him. He does not care. He'll just speak his mind and erratic and sorry. But, that's how he is.
Let's hope you'll behave this time. Thank you very much, Madam, for the show. I hope students of international relations have picked one or two things. And thank you very much for joining me in the last part of the show and spicing it up. I can see so many people are spiced up, including Mr. Nganga has disappeared over. Comedian Miguna should be well received into Kenya because he's going to make a lot of jokes. Yeah. Thank you very much. Those are good comments. And Mr. Africa, you can read them. Madam, you are very good expert on reading some of this.
Ayo Ogundimu, about this news that I saw before I came here, Mr. Bobby Wine was arrested. He was trying to, I think, hold a meeting or address, so yeah, I think that's what he's referring to. At Bismarck Bura, you're saying Miguna is a strong character. Yes, that he is. And I think it is his but strength.
The laws, I have agreed why President Uhuru Kenyatta has done a very good gesture. And despite Miguna himself targeting him, the only thing that I would advise the younger man Miguna is to not to target the family.
The personal target.
Yes, let him target the politicians.
Yeah.
But for you to go to Mama Ngina and target her, you go to Raila's family, target the wife. And this is not. But politicians, you can play the politics. Yeah, that is the best that we can say.
Yeah.
And I hope this time people will talk to him.
But I don't think he'll mention all of that when he comes here, because now there's laws in this country. You can't just go talking about people like that.
It won't take time.
If you take him to court,
it won't take time before
he
he
gets himself
does.
in trouble.
It won't take
he can't
time
help himself.
before he does another problem.
Let's wish him well. We shall be here waiting for our long lost son. Is he lost or is just back from Canada, Mr. Miguna? So we shall be reporting here. And
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And we thank you so much.
Thank you very much. This station, therefore. Tomorrow, what do we have?
Tomorrow we'll have the
Good Morning Africa,
Good Morning
together
Africa.
with our sister satellite station, television. We are always this Zuku. Our shows are on Zuku.
Oh, Zuku. I think channel 8 or 2 or something like that.
You check channel 8 or 2 of Zuku. You will find us. You will find this talk. It's directly there. Thank you very much. And we are always very happy with South Sudan Multicultural County channel. Miguna is a nationalist, but President Uhuru Kenyatta is great president who reconcile with his citizens. That is how we will reconcile the country. Thank you very much.
And as the South Sudan Multicultural County channel, this person had asked about, I don't know, he mentioned there about us, I don't know, biasness when talking about South Sudan. Maybe he's just...
We are biased.
Maybe he's new to this channel because we've been very brutally honest.
No, we have been against honest. Everybody in South Sudan. We don't have a side. And sir, if you want to join us, get us your Skype. We shall put you online every day when we talk about South Sudan, and you enjoy the discussion with us. Yes.
Join us tomorrow, 11 a.m. East Africa time. We'll be talking about South Sudan.
Yes.
Bringing you the latest.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We have to go now.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right.
This station, therefore, is for Africa with Africa by Africa. Charles.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.